All right, good evening, everyone. This is Dillard coming to you with another episode of Teen Talk Live. I am so excited that you have joined us tonight. We have a really exciting topic for you, and I hope that you will engage with us tonight because we are talking about teen dating violence. February is Teen Violence Awareness Month, and so I think this is a really important topic that we talk about. And tonight, my very special guest is Miss Nickia Lowery, and she is here with us, and I'm just so excited. So help me welcome Nickia. Welcome, Nickia.
Hello, everyone.
All right, I'm so glad you're here with us on Teen Talk
Yes.
Live.
Yes.
Awesome. So I'm just going to take a minute to welcome. Hey, my business bestie is on here. Sabra, welcome. Hey, Velvet, welcome. Hi, Trina. I'm so glad you're here. And hey, Mary, I'm glad you've joined us too. Tonight is a really important topic. So share this out and so that we can get the word out. We are talking about 7 things that we should know about teen dating violence, which is very important. Again, this is Teen Violence Awareness Month, and so we want to make sure we get the word out. Hey, say hi. I'm glad you're here with us tonight. Thank you for joining us. All right, Nickia, we're gonna jump right in. So tell me and tell our audience, how do you serve the world?
Well, I am the owner and therapist at Optimum Purpose Counseling here in Duluth, Georgia. I work primarily with adolescents and children. I do parent coaching as well. I work a lot with children and teens who have had some sort of trauma, and domestic violence is definitely one of those things. So yeah, I am.
That's exciting. I mean, it sounds like you have your hands full, or do you have your hands full?
Yeah, absolutely. But I love it. I mean, you know, it's definitely challenging at times, but it's definitely a need. And
Right.
that's one of the reasons why I really was excited to be offered the opportunity to really talk to teens about just how important it is to really understand and recognize when they're in these situations.
That is so awesome. Yes, and I'm glad you accepted the invitation to be here with us. Hey, Miss Tina, I'm so glad you're here. Say hi. I'm glad you're here. I'll take those 15 minutes. Come back and check out the replay because it'll be on my page also. So let's start, Nickia, by talking about. Okay, so we should tell our audience that you are a licensed professional counselor.
Yes.
And also a national, what is that?
Counselor.
I'm sorry, say that again.
A nationally certified counselor.
A nationally certified counselor. So you have some expertise in this area, you've been trained, and you have the experience to go along with it. And so I'm just delighted to have you talk to our audience. So let's jump on in. We're going to tell them about 7 things they should know about teen dating violence. And we might have teens, but we also might have parents or educators here who are listening. So I think this information is going to be really critical for whomever is listening.
Correct.
So what is our first thing that you think that we should know about teen dating violence?
Well, first we need to know what is teen dating violence. First, and so what teen dating violence is, is basically when you're in a relationship or you have a close or intimate relationship with a partner and you're experiencing physical, emotional, sexual abuse or stalking. Sometimes we forget about, just some of the other more subtle things that can occur, but it's still intimidating. It's still considered violent behavior. And also just, being aware of just how important or how prevalent it um, is, is, is another thing that I wanted to emphasize. I mean, by the time a child graduates from high school, it says an upwards of 33% will experience this. So it's really important, to be aware of just how impactful this is on our youth.
Okay. So let's back up a little bit and talk about what is teen dating violence. And you know what, some teens or some people might just think, well, that's just their way of expressing that they love me.
Yes. So let me tell you a little bit about what I just said.
Okay.
So I mentioned physical, I mentioned emotional, I mentioned sexual, and I mentioned stalking. So some examples of physical abuse would be things like of course, that's usually the most prominent one: hitting, punching, pushing, slapping. But it could also be in, being hit with objects, being threatened with weapons, and then that takes us into the more psychological and emotional side of things, where you're getting the threats, you're getting really bullied, intimidated, maybe embarrassing the person. Sometimes if you find yourself being humiliated by your partner, that's a form of abuse. Making you feel less than, threatening to harm you, holding you against your will. And that's moving more into the stalking realm of things, where you're using tactics to put fear into the person, following them around, excessive texting, constantly calling them, and then, of course.
Let's talk about that for a second. Excessive texting and constantly calling. Now, some of the teens that I work with, they might say, well, that's just how they show me they love me, Mm-hmm. that's just how it is. He texts me all the time, or he wants me to text him all the time because he loves me, and if he didn't love me, he wouldn't want me to do those things, or she wouldn't want me to do those things.
And that's a good point. Well, but when you're, so I'll give you an example. When you're getting excess of 200 text messages in a day, and you're feeling like you feeling the pressure to have to respond, and feeling like there's going to be some sort of retaliation if you do not respond, that's not healthy, and you're going into the realm of possible abuse. When you're experiencing things like that, you shouldn't be led to feel like it's an intimidating way of communication. Wow. And that's really the key. Is this something that I want? Is it something that he's pressuring or she's pressuring me to do?
Right.
Get into whether this is a healthy situation or not.
Right. Thanks for clearing that up for our audience. Let me just take a minute to welcome the people who are joining us. Audrey, thank you for being here. Stephen, thank you for being here. Hey, Miss Tina, I'm so glad you're here. Bobby, hello. Sherry Dean, Miss Natalie, hey, Simone. Ahmed, I'm so glad you're here. And hey, Cordero, if you are still here with us, just shout out to Nickia, say hello, send her some love. Let us know that you are here with us, and send us some questions so she can answer. Tonight, we're talking about teen dating violence and 7 things that we need to be aware of. Okay, Nickia, so we did number 1, which is what is teen dating violence? What does that look like? And then you mentioned number 2 also. Can you say number 2 again?
Well, number 2 was really me going into more detail of what teen dating violence is, giving, just examples of what it is. Mm-hmm. But so, what I wanted to ask what the audience is, if or if there was any teens online, if any of this sounds familiar to them, or if they know someone that's dealing with that.
Okay. All right. So yeah, if you are in the audience, or even if you're just catching this on the replay, and you have teens in your life, or you are a teen, are you familiar with these behaviors that she outlined? So just drop a comment in the comment box and let us know. All right. So then when we go on to number 3, are we on number 3?
Yes.
Okay.
So now, so I defined it. And then what I wanted to talk about was, so how do I know, how can I recognize even before I even get into this relationship, what are some indicators that this person is maybe not someone I want to even venture into dating? Maybe he's already showing some signs in our interaction, or she. So what some of the things you might want to look for is, does that person see dating violence as acceptable behavior? Are they very aggressive towards other people? You know, do they frequently get involved in conflict with or other partners? Do they have a past history of a lot of conflict with other partners? Are they engaging in substance abuse?
Oh, that's huge.
Yes. Another thing you want to look at is their past trauma. You know, are they coming from a home of violence? You know, do they have some unresolved history of trauma?
But see, Nickia, I'm gonna push back a little bit, right? Can I just push back a little bit?
Sure.
When I'm a teenager in love, my brain's not developed. All I know is I'm in love and I'm thinking, you know what, this is gonna last forever. I'm not thinking about their trauma, the other person's trauma, right? I'm thinking, oh, he's or she is different from the rest of her family, you know, and or I'm thinking that they're not gonna do that to me. They love me, right?
Right. Yeah, they are thinking that.
so I'm like, I might not want to know about their past trauma.
That's true. It's still an indicator, though. You know what I'm saying? Whether, you know, and the thing about this is, you know, you could take heed or you can continue down that road. And I have something, we'll get there, because you might not take, these are red flags, but you might think, you know, let me give them a chance. But I'm gonna give you some tips on how to get out of the situation if you don't recognize, or you don't, or, you know, you try to make it work, so to speak, you know, and you don't listen to those warnings.
All right.
We're gonna get there.
All right. Hey, Natalie, welcome.
But you're definitely right. When we're talking about teens, you know, they're, you know, they feel, and it's not just teens though, but you know, we do feel like we're going to be different sometimes.
We're going to change that person. They're not going to do that to me.
Not going to do that to me. But the best predictor of future behavior is past behavior, and that's just what it is.
That is true. Yes.
So what were you saying? I'm sorry.
No, I was saying that is true.
Oh, okay.
The best predictor of future behavior is past behavior, looking at those past patterns and
absolutely
past actions. Yes. All right. So are we on to what? Number 4?
Yeah. So how can we help someone who is experiencing this? So what I was saying was, right now I've been talking about, you know, trying to recognize and heed to those red flags, and, you know, really trying to help that person before they enter that relationship. So, because ultimately we want to try to prevent it from happening, right? We would prefer to prevent it from happening rather than try to support them through it.
Right.
You know, starts. And so some of the things that I think is important to mention is really, before your child even gets into a relationship for the first time, is to really empower your child to have a voice and advocate for themselves. I know growing up, I was, you know, raised where it was your, you know, child is seen and not heard. And what I learned from that really is to second guess myself, to be unsure, don't, you know when I should, you know, when I should speak up for myself. And that, you know, that can lead to a victim mentality in a lot of ways. And so one of the things I want to let parents know is to really allow your child to have that voice, to really be open dialogue, open communication with them, even before they enter into relationships.
That's good stuff, because I'm writing about that in my chapter of the Unchained My Legacy anthology. And the thing about when you have this mentality, or you're teaching your child to be seen and not heard, it's like it doesn't just stop in your home. It transcends all areas of their lives.
Exactly.
And that's so important. Yeah, I love that point, that you end up second guessing yourself.
Exactly. And so, with that, so that was me, kind of my pointers on how parents can empower their teens. But this is also what I also wanted to say, how teens, or they can empower each other, their peers. And so as a teen, I want them to not be afraid to speak up for their friend. If if you're recognizing that, this doesn't seem right, I'm seeing some things with this guy. I know you like him, but I'm concerned for you. Speak up for your friend. Let your friend know how you're feeling. Don't be afraid to talk to them, because maybe they're not recognizing for whatever reason.
That's good. I really like that point. I'm gonna be on one of my friends' talk show tomorrow, talking about the same topic, ironically, right? And one of the things that, as I was preparing my notes for her show tomorrow, one of the things that I was thinking about, Nickia, is that a lot of times your peers know that you're dating somebody before the parents know.
Right.
And so I love that point that you brought up, that, advocate for your friend. Yes. When you see stuff that's not right, advocate for them and speak up.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
So moving right along, unless is there any questions?
I don't have any question yet. If anybody have questions, Sherry, I'm glad you're here. Hey, Miss Julia. Hey, Sister Helen. Hey, Natalie. I'm so glad that you all have joined us tonight. We're talking to licensed professional counselor and nationally certified counselor, Nickia Lowery, and she is an expert on teen abuse and abuse prevention. And so she's sharing with us 7 things that we should know about teen dating violence. So please drop a comment, ask questions. This is a perfect time to ask questions about this topic, and also share it out. Thank you. Say hi, say it's good stuff that we're talking about. Thank you so much. So engage with us. She's got lots of information. We have the expert here with us tonight, and we want to take advantage of getting as much information for our teens or for somebody who could benefit from it. Yes. All right. So we don't have any questions yet. We're just going to keep moving.
So I talked about, sticking up for your friend, and teens look for if their boyfriend or girlfriend, if they're trying to keep, trying to separate you guys, if they're starting to kind of what they call isolate them, are they trying to, push them away from things that they normally like to do? That's another, indicator that this is probably not the best relationship for that person. Do you see the person, constantly checking their phone, feeling like they have to respond when that person texts them, right. Like that, the fear, or the, feeling like they don't want that conflict. So they feel like, they have to kind of submit to what the other person, their boyfriend or girlfriend is saying.
Right.
What else did I want to say?
The thing about what you're saying here, Nickia, is this is okay. We're talking about teens because this is Teen Talk Live, but this is so relevant, and it transcends teenagers. This is so relevant to people who are dating or in a relationship or marriage at any age.
Yes, I know.
This is wow. And imagine if you can recognize it as a teenager, how you might head off some future pitfalls in relationships.
Yeah, because a lot, most, well, I wouldn't say most, but a large percentage of those that are abused as you are end up in domestic violence relationships as adults. It started when their first situation started as teens. And
Wow.
imagine if, if they would have had the tools prior to, they perhaps they would not have ended up in that situation.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's good stuff. That's good stuff. Thank you.
you're welcome. And so I want to switch gears back to parents for a minute here.
Okay.
Talk a little bit more about what I want them to really be trying to recognize, because like you said, oftentimes peers know before the parent that their child is even in a relationship. So I want to make sure that they're aware of some of the signs to be looking for to recognize that their child is even in trouble. So one thing you want to look for is, does your child seem to have fewer friends than they used to have, than they normally? Are they starting to kind of, again, this is that isolation pattern? Or do you see them, no longer hanging out with that group of friends they once did, talking on the phone?
Right,
You
right.
know, they're starting to maybe spend more time with this particular person. Has your child gone from being really happy to being really sad or depressed?
Hmm.
You know, what's the body language when your son or daughter is hanging out with this particular person? Does or and not just, not what is their body language, but what is the partner's body language? Or do they get angry when your son or daughter is talking to someone in just in a general conversation? You
Wow.
know,
Wow.
looking for those jealousy patterns. Um, what else do I want to say? Let's see here. Is your child receiving a lot of advice about choices that they're making, more so control? You know,
Hmm.
heavy, dictating what their hairstyle looks like, dictating, who they hang out with, what clothes they wear, whether they wear makeup or not, just their day-to-day things that they used to do, now it's being dictated by this person. Um, does your child make excuses for that person's negative behaviors? Are they becoming defensive when you try to point out that, oh, this doesn't seem right? Are they getting really defensive?
Wow.
um, these are indicators that they might be in trouble, and they might, need some support from you.
Wow.
um,
That is such good information because, again, this transcends dating as a teen,
mhm,
because I remember a friend of mine, her one of her children got caught up with someone that she met, and it was just a friend relationship, but it became that which you're talking about.
mhm.
The person start to being, dictate what she does and where she goes and who she can see, and just became really controlling in her life.
Mhm.
This is good stuff. Thank you, Sabra. Sabra said good information, Nickia.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Now I can't see the question, so
I
that's
don't
why.
have any questions yet. So, hey,
Okay. Or
Marquita,
I can't see the
for joining
comment
us.
either.
Yeah, Natalie, thanks for being here. So yeah, if you all have any comments and any questions, hey Mike, thanks for being here. If you all have any comments and questions for Nickia, let's ask her some, because this is good information about teen dating violence. And like we were saying, this transcends teens. It's about relationship, period. And basically healthy relationship and signs of what's not healthy.
Right, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And that's also part of it. I'm glad that you brought that up, because that's the other part of combating, your child getting into a relationship that's, dysfunctional, is you really modeling those healthy relationships for your children too. um
Right.
it's something that, can be learned. So you want to make sure that not you're being open, there's an open line of communication, and you're also demonstrating to them what a healthy relationship looks like. You're not making excuses for being mistreated in your life in any way or mistreating others. So it's that's also a part of, making sure that your child doesn't end up in a relationship like that or becoming an abuser themselves.
Wow. That's good stuff. Hey, Nicole, I'm glad you're here. Hey, Tavis, I was just talking about you, that I'm going to be on your show tomorrow night talking about the same information, teen dating and violence. And we have the expert Nickia Lowery here with us, and sharing about 7 things we should know about teen dating and violence. And Nickia, you touched on a really important point about modeling, because a lot of times we repeat behaviors that we see and that we're used to. So, if I see mom in an abusive relationship, chances are that I'm going to end up mimicking that behavior and not necessarily see anything wrong with it.
Yes.
So, it's important that parents really look at how the messages that they're sending to their children as well. And if they're in that kind of relationship, get some help.
Right.
Okay. Thank you, Toya, for being here. Yes, Tavis, modeling is so important. Yes. Okay. So, all right. So what else we want them to know, Nickia?
Well, and I'm sticking with the parents for now. So, I know we as parents, we want to rush in and we want to help, we want to save them, we want to, fix it. And so that's definitely a don't. And because there are many reasons why children don't necessarily come to us. And again, going back to peers no quicker than their parents is, a lot of times they're embarrassed or ashamed. They don't want to get in trouble. They feel like if they do come to the parent, it's going to somehow be their fault, or they may have already internalized that it is their fault.
Right.
And so we want to be sensitive to that when approaching this situation. So, I put together a little list of do's and don'ts.
All right.
For addressing this. So what you do want to do is, if you're when you approach your child, when you're feeling like, it's time, I feel like I need to say something, this is just out of hand. This, I have to talk to my child. You want to make sure you approach them in a calm and non-judgmental way. No blame, no judgment here. You want them to, you don't want them to shut down. So you want to be very non-judgmental. Right. Even when it comes to the partner, not saying anything negative about them, really, just, focus on what you're seeing, right. Without judgment, just right.
That's good stuff, because me as a parent, I'll get in the mode where you can't see that person no more. You know what I mean? And I'm like, I have limited power, but that's how I would come off. Me knowing me.
Right. And so but that could cause them to shut down.
Or sends them further into that relationship.
Yeah. So what you can do, is acknowledge that it's a difficult situation, though. You can do that. You can acknowledge how difficult and scary the situation must be that they're in. And, just that you're there that you're concerned about their safety and you're there to support them. And, that'll lead more to them being more willing to hear what you have, how you can guide them. That'll make them more willing to hear that. And, of course, last but not least, educate yourself on any resources out, community resources for domestic violence, teen dating violence. You want to make sure you're aware of what resources are in your community that you can utilize on a regular basis.
Right. Well, I'm thinking also, if my child is coming home with bruises and stuff like that, when do we get a restraining order?
Well, your teen has to be ready for that. As much as you want to drive this ship or whatever you want to say, you cannot. It has to be. It's up to them.
I'm like all in. I'm all the way
right.
in.
I know. As a parent, I want to do that too. But that's going to lead to them shutting down or denying, or it's very intimidating to even come to the parent. So now we're going to take them to another authority figure, and they got to tell them what happened, and you have to allow them to get to that level of comfort to where they're ready to admit it and speak about it, really.
Yeah.
To where they're ready to take action.
Right. I mean, I get it. There's the clinical side of me, the professional side of me, and then there's the mama side of me.
Absolutely.
There's like, this is not happening. But, sometimes, and I speak from both perspectives, because I think about the people who might be watching this, and they're ready to go in. They're ready to be
right.
Right.
And that's actually my first point of don'ts is don't try to rescue them.
No.
Resist that natural impulse. They will shut down.
Yeah. And that's that's true. That's true. You want to get as much information as you can. And in order to get that information, you have to keep the communication channels open.
Right.
Yeah.
And then of course, don't blame them for the abuse or make them feel like they're being judged.
Mm-hmm.
Don't punish them for, being with an abusive partner. Sometimes you're grounded, you can't see them anymore. No, we don't want to punish them for being abused. Don't criticize the other person. Like I was just saying, don't do that. As much as you want to, that good for nothing, or, whatever you want to say, don't resist the urge. Resist the urge.
Oh, goodness.
Yes.
So there's a lot for the parents to not do. Okay.
Yes. It's hard, but in the long, it'll work out better that way. You'll get further and get the result that you want.
Right.
But this way.
Wow.
Now we've been talking a lot about the victim, though. About that end of things. But how do you deal with if you're the parent of the one inflicting the abuse?
Now, a lot of times we don't think about the abuse.
Exactly.
Okay, so give us some knowledge on the abuser.
Okay. So some things to look for to see if, to recognize if your child is the abuser. Do they act jealous or possessive with their partner? Are they very controlling and bossy? Do they tend to lay a guilt trip on their partner, like you will do this for me if you love me type, statements? Are they very obsessed over the partner's behavior or actions? Do they request unreasonable or gender-based expectations for their dating partner? These are all controlling behaviors. And then some things you could possibly do to maybe some interventions to talk to your team would be ask, why do you think that you think this behavior is okay? Just flat out ask them, what are you doing? Why do you think that this is okay? How do you think you're making this person feel?
But what if you're feeling so guilty because they learned that behavior from watching you? So I'm just saying, if that's the case,
and that could possibly be the case. And you know what? You're going to have to take accountability, and you're going to have to face it. Let them know, be clear, be open. I know that, I've made some mistakes, or I've, you've seen this behavior, but this is not okay.
That makes sense.
Yeah, you have to be open. You can't, you're going to damage the communication if you try to minimize or make excuses for.
Right. Wow.
Confront the disrespectful behavior, like I explain to the child that it's not okay. Like I just said, let your child know that controlling behaviors are abusive and will prevent them from having a healthy relationship, healthy and happy, because I'm sure ultimately they want to be happy. So let them know that this is not the way to find happiness. And we're going back to modeling respectful behavior yourself.
Right. And the thing about it is, if your child is the abuser, right? And I'm just saying, chances are you might see some of those actions in some of those behaviors in their actions towards you, the parent.
Yeah.
And so it's like calling it out and addressing that, because chances are if they're treating you in a disrespectful manner, they're treating their significant other, their partner, in a disrespectful manner.
That's a good point.
Mm-hmm.
You know, what was their patterns of behavior before they even got into the relationship?
Absolutely.
And what are the chances that they're carrying that on? I mean, most likely, yes, they are.
Absolutely. I can't tell you how many parents I've spoken to or who I've counseled who feel victimized by their own children.
Yes.
And I've had parents who've had to get their child removed from their house because of the treatment towards them. And I cringe to think about, if you treat your own parent like that, imagine how you would treat a partner.
A partner, yes.
Yeah, that's really sad.
Yes. It definitely is. What else would you like to know? I mean, those are my 7 points.
This has been really, really good. And I don't have any questions, and I want to encourage people, even as you come on the replay, if you have questions, just drop it in the box and Nickia will circle around and answer those questions. But I think the information that she's shared tonight is invaluable, and it's something that we don't talk a lot about, but we need to talk about. Absolutely. Because teens are ending up, committing serious crimes. They're ending up in the hospital. There's so many different things that's happening because of teen violence, and we need to talk about it.
Yes. Well, one more thing I wanted to say, there is a, if you don't feel comfortable talking to your parent, if you're not ready to, really share it with someone close to you, I do have a support. You can text. You text love is, and that's LOVEIS to 22522, and it will get you connected with a peer support that can provide resources, education on teen dating violence.
So it's love is.
Yes, LOVEIS.
Okay, is that one word?
Yes, it's one word. Text love is to, the number is 22522.
Okay.
So text that number, you'll get someone, who can provide support for you. Okay.
All right. I dropped that in the comment section so that people can have that resource. And if you have any additional resource, please feel free to drop it in the comments also. Because again, it's something that we don't want to think about. I don't want to think that any of my children were abusers or are abusers. And, but the reality is this happens with teens not having the proper tools to deal with the different stressors in their lives. And also not just the stressors in their lives, but the examples that they're seeing, and also how they're engaging on social media and what they're watching. A lot of our teens are being brought up by the Maury Povich generation, where it seemed like it's okay to behave a certain way in relationships.
Definitely have been blurred. Yeah.
And so, I'm going to talk more about that tomorrow night on Tavis Taylor's show, because we have to, there's a quote, I forgot who said it, but he said, "He who tells the story defines the culture." And if we're not telling the story, or if we're allowing TV or reality shows to tell the story, then we're getting the culture that we're experiencing now. And that's a culture of violence, and that's not okay.
Right.
Yeah. So I think this is great information. I'm so glad that you're here, Nickia. So talk to that teen who might be, I want you to talk to 3 people. The teen who might be experiencing dating violence, the one who might be the perpetrator, and the parent or the adult who knows about it. Just give them some final words.
So if you're a teen who is experiencing a relationship that's very uncomfortable, that you're feeling like, unsafe, again, you can try reaching out to that resource and just understand that it's not your fault, and that there are people that are out there that can help support you and guide you through to get to a safe place. And then as far as parents are concerned, again, I can't stress enough that to just keep the lines of communication open and make it a non-judgmental zone. That is the most important thing, because they're already feeling unsafe, and that's the number one thing. You want to make your child feel safe.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Then I'm sorry. Then what did you say? The other one you want me to? The perpetrator. I'm sorry. And for the perpetrator, just understand that this is not a healthy situation. And you too can reach out and get the support you need. Just reach out to someone and let them know that you need help. You're struggling. You just don't know how to, communicate effectively. You don't know what to do, and you need someone to help you.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the thing about it is that as I think about the person who might be the abuser in this situation, because your behavior is not acceptable doesn't make you a bad person.
Right.
A lot of times it's a situation where you don't have the skills to navigate the stressors in your life. And
you heard it probably.
Yes.
Yourselves, yes.
Exactly. And so it's so important for that person, if you realize that this is you, to reach out and get some help. And again, we're talking to teens, but my audience right now is mostly adults. And if you find that in your adult company or in your life, you too can get help.
Right.
Yes. Well,
the national numbers in the comment section too as well. But I just wanted to make sure I put the text message for the teens, because
absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. And we're getting ready to close. If you have any questions, again, please drop them in the comment section. Make sure you hashtag replay when you are watching us on the replay, and share this out. Please bring about awareness about teen dating violence, because February is Teen Dating Violence Awareness Month. And on Teen Talk Live, we're always sharing resources and skills to transform the lives and the minds of teens and those who love them. And so I'm so glad that you have joined us tonight. Nickia, I'm sorry. I'm so glad that you are here with us on Teen Talk Live. I'm so glad you took time out of your schedule to share this information with us. Thank you so much. This is really good information.
Thank you for having me. It was a joy.
Yes. And so, check in with us and see if we have any comments or any questions from our audience. Well, thank you everyone for joining us. This has been Ann Dillard. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist, and this has been Teen Talk Live, where we share information, resources, skills that transform the minds and lives of teens and those who love them. Thank you and have a good night.
Good night, everyone.